Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode holy fuck of the Aggressively Average podcast with one of our channel favorites, Waters Above. And holy shit, bro, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? Now, before I actually get into this, what we're going to talk about today, I have to give some context for everyone at home. Ladies and gentlemen, me and Waters actually 2 or 3 days ago, we recorded a whole
Hmm.
episode based on the XRP chart Waters posted on Twitter. And because the Matrix absolutely hates us and doesn't want all of you to make money, that episode did not save and record on Zoom. However, I think with all the events that just occurred, divine intervention was at play. And God was like, Bull, you and Waters got to do it again. But fuck that first draft. Let's get this baby right.
Dude,
Waters, what the fuck is going on? You know what it is? You know what it is?
man,
I love it because 2024 is revenge of the boomers, bro. We have a walking corpse versus the dead man walking. And I absolutely love it, bro. I'm here for the plot and the plot alone, and the plot just thickened. My friend, I am having such a blast. It's so much fun.
yeah, man. I appreciate you. I'm glad that we were able to make this happen, even though there was some serious intervention in the last one. I was really surprised when you contacted me the following day and was like, man, I don't think this saved.
Yeah,
And I've
bro.
had that happen to me before, but I've looked into the depths of the iCloud, black hole, and I found stuff that I thought I lost, but I guess
Yeah,
on
yeah,
your
yeah.
end there was just something went down and it needed to. But can you please let them know how prophetic that podcast was? How many
Oh,
things did we talk about
dude,
that came to life within days, dude?
dude, I feel you. We talked about it a lot. And that's why I'm so frustrated because literally the XRP price broke out a bit as well, which is a big part of why I'm so frustrated because people would have gotten to hear us talk about that little breakout because people were scared about the price. So I think even though people didn't got to hear that specific part of the video right away, we could still give them some context. We could still review everything we discussed, but now with the added political and geopolitical depth and ramifications of what just happened with this Trump assassination attempt, whether you believe it was scripted or not, or a ritual or not, everyone at home, that's besides the point. This did occur, and I do believe this just changed the game for everyone. It was an iconic moment. It was a difference making moment. And I think things are about to be accelerating in terms of the political and geopolitical landscape without a shadow of a doubt. But Waters, anything you want to start off, just give some context, introduce before we got started.
Sure. Do you have that XRP chart that I shared or the tweet that I shared in the you kind of started off our last podcast with that, and I think that sets a lot of the, foundation for where this can go, especially
Absolutely,
since we've
brother.
had that breakout. Yeah, and if
Absolutely.
you
And
also give me hosting capabilities, I could get a little bit into that too, because I know a lot of your audience wants to have a recap on what just went down. And it's just so wild because our conversation that we had last time was literally the perfect setup into what unfolded. And that chart that I shared days before we even got together was also like, it's just wild to watch this breakout happen.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, the reason me and Waters wanted to get together in the first place was because of this chart that he had posted on Twitter July 9th specifically. And this chart really excited me because it's been a long-standing thesis that I've had for quite a while, actually. And that's that we are repeating to some effect the 2017 style cycle, but on a much grander scale because the 2017 style cycle, you could argue, started from 2013 all the way into 2017. But this time around, the XRP chart went from 2018 all the way to 2024, where we're at now. And the similarities between these trends are absolutely to not be ignored. So, Waters, please take the stage, my friend. Let the people know.
Beautiful. So this is kind of what I wanted to get into. I did that interview with you. I did not have this chart prepared though. I just had that tweet. It kind of went viral in a sense. A lot of people started sharing it, gained a lot of traction. A lot of people wanted to know like what's going on here because anyone could just draw a box around any time frame and say like, well, this is what it is. So just a quick recap. And with this updated chart, which I went over in my last video that I shared on YouTube as well, I broke this down phase by phase. And this isn't to get into any fancy like Elliott wave theory or Wyckoff method or anything like that. It's just to label the extremes in the data and the big pivot points that we've seen unfold. And a lot of people are new to crypto and pretty much joined right around this stage right here. A majority of the participants. Not so many people were here back to experience this ride to the upside for XRP. It seems to be that the XRP community started to grow quite a bit around this C19 phase, believe it or not, somewhere into the fall time of 2019 through the C19 crash. And then we all know the rest is history. So I'm just going to quickly break this down step by step. I'm going to keep it super simple. And if you want to stop me along the way to ask any questions, we could get into it. So phase
Absolutely.
one over here would just be your buying climax. You can see that's matched up with our current all-time highs of December into early January of 2018. What the buying climax would be is effectively what we would call the blow off top, or it's the moment when all the buying pressure is exhausted and it's followed by a very deep correction. So some people are already probably asking, well, this was a much shorter, condensed cycle. And of course, this one is much more arduous. It's a lot more drawn out. And I believe the big reason why it's drawn out has a lot to do with the SEC versus Ripple case. So now that we got that out of the way, just look at the similarities between each phase until we get to phase five, and it's going to start to make a lot of sense to you. So we have phase one, as I mentioned, this would be your cycle high, like a blow off top. Then this goes into the cycle bottom, which will be phase two. In our current cycle, this phase two was the C19 crash. It was the lowest that XRP went, and it recovered into phase three. And you could see phase three over here. It looked like a very textbook Wyckoff automatic rally or like a lower high bull trap. Got a lot of people thinking, oh, we might just continue back to a double top or we might even go higher. But these are very strategic market maker plays where they want to get you to be caught up in buying another top. And that is really unfortunate because a lot of newer investors get excited pretty much at the worst times when there's a lot of greed in the market. So you see this is a greed phase. Then it's met with another rejection and you come back down into phase four, which is a higher low. So it's not a new cycle low. You could see phase four is higher than phase two. And after this, we end up with a shorter range. That's this horizontal trading range. It's much more consolidated and it's pretty long term. It lasted a little bit over a year, and it's the same case in what we're experiencing right now. And what I did was I marked the resistance and the support of this with the exact same range that we're seeing today. It's perfectly mimicking, even in the timing of things. The only anomaly would be this move right here in July of 2023. And we know the reason why that happened was because it was literally an isolated situation for XRP with the first big win in the SEC case of XRP no longer being deemed a security. So we saw that big surge to the upside, but it did not last too long. And we came right back down into the 50-cent range, sub 50-cent range. Since we've been building this support line. And just in the beginning of this month, July, we broke slightly below it. So that's when I made this chart and I said, we are here. We're at this moment right here where we are going into a bear trap. We're trying to break that support. It'll be short lived and it will spring to the upside. And that is exactly what we ended up doing. And it was just wild to watch how this all went down because when I shared this information with you, we weren't at these levels just yet. We didn't break back above 50 cents. So the
Mm-hmm.
way that this is springing to the upside is nearly identical now. Like everything is matching up perfectly. It's even more perfect than when we did our podcast. So this is really important. And what I think we need to look for if we just want a technical level to keep in mind is this resistance line today is at 70 cents. And I've pretty much been saying this every single YouTube video for the last I don't even know, 4 to 5 months now. I've been letting people know we need to see a macro candle closure, something like a 5 day candle or a weekly candle above 70 cents. And if we can get a weekly candle above 75 cents, then we will be in this moment right here where we pretty much have sky's the limit. I mean, a quick retest into $1.70 can happen in a single week, and it will literally look like this too. But the question most people have now is what would facilitate that, right? And do you want me to pause here? Or do you want me to keep going on some things?
No, I just want to very briefly, I want to share something very quickly. Um,
Of course.
Let me see. I'm gonna stop your sharing very quickly. So the reason your chart got me so excited is because right before then, this chart was circulating in the community as well. And doing my own research as well, I saw that we did break below extremely long-term support, similar to how we did right before the 2017 breakout for the XRP chart, right?
Can you
And
show the chart? Because I can't see it.
okay, I think if you choose on Bull screen, you'll be able to see. There should be an option here on Zoom, but it's visible to the community at the moment.
Okay.
But but effectively, it's essentially the same thing you just showcased, except in a slightly different way. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, we broke below, and then we're getting ready to go for liftoff on that quick parabolic move, and this is one of
Okay,
the
I can see it now.
yeah, this is that moment right before the XRP chart moves last, but it moves the fastest and the highest once it finally moves. And this is what I've been preaching for the longest time is that XRP, it doesn't participate in bullish moves with the overall crypto market for most of the time. But then once it goes on its isolated move, there's no getting these entry levels back. And I know it's like preaching to the choir. I know it's beating a dead horse, but it's game time. That is what I genuinely believe based on how long we've been coiled up in this pattern, in this trend. And with everything else happening on the world stage the way it is right now, Waters, I think it
Yeah.
is the perfect storm for it.
Yeah, there's definitely you asked me in the last podcast as well, like what are my feelings on all of it? And I felt that I feel very much the same. That's why I shared the chart with the world. Like it's not to get clicks and to get people to follow me. Like I don't give a fuck about that. It was about this trading range that we're in is really, really overdue for price discovery. And that's a 6 to 7 year horizontal trading range that's been systematically retesting these
6 to 7
really
years.
undervalued price levels. And like I don't say that lightly. Like I pretty much preached about this in my last podcast that I released a couple yesterday, my Red Pill podcast over on Patreon. I was saying that this is a value investment at this point. Like when you're seeing this asset continually come down to these levels and hold these levels, I mean, there's no reason to not consider building a position in it. I'm not trying to tell people to go like YOLO 90% of their portfolio into XRP by any. And I actually spoke on that as well in the last time we got together. I said this is a dangerous thing to be only in XRP because there's a lot of other opportunities out there. And I believe you feel the same. I know you're diversified as well, but to have zero of this right now, I think is foolish in a lot of ways. And that's not financial advice. It's just look at this chart, look at the similarities, look at the setup. I mean, it's so undervalued right now for its fair value and what's going on in the world stage. I think this is the perfect climate. This is the perfect environment for this to catch up to a more fair value.
Absolutely. But let's get back to that chart that you had on earlier because I remember specifically we went into some chart analysis in regards to XRP and if this pattern that we're in repeated, what are some of these higher levels that XRP could actually attain? And I think what we realized and what we pinpointed was pretty profound.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to pull up another chart for a moment. I hope this chart is a cleaner chart with nothing on it, and we could just be very simple with this fib pull over here. I'm going to go from the prior cycle's buying climax down to the swing low, which would be this phase two that I shared in the last chart. And I'm going to double click on this really quickly and just show you the way this is set up. This fib retracement has this fib levels based on log scale checked off. And I don't really give a shit about this peak right now, this all-time peak. I just want to show how perfectly this thing launched into the 1618, the golden ratio, uh, Fibonacci golden ratio. That's amazing how perfectly this straight line broke out into that level. And then we need to address the fact that this was met by a pretty decent correction in a short time frame, about 70% to the downside in 2 months, and then held sideways for 200 days before having this next leg up. So this is a very great place to get tricked. Down here, it's you could pretty much be like monkeys playing darts anywhere you bought, whether it was here or here or here, it was all a solid entry in the grand scheme of things. But waiting and waiting and waiting for us to make some surge into price discovery is silly. And I think that's what's going to happen to a lot of people that have already exited the XRP community due to maybe the lack of patience or boredom, or maybe fudded out by something that's going on, some story, some influencer, I'm not sure. Which, by the way, I tell everyone who follows my art to practice discernment. Nothing I'm saying is in promotion of Ripple or XRP. That's not the point. We're investors here. There's no emotion. There's no cult. There's no any of that. So I'm just saying from an investment perspective, where we're trading at right now is like literally right here compared to where the 1618 is. So if I was to pull the fib, and this was fun to do last time, just looking at where that would match up from this buying climax to this selling climax, we're looking at the 1618 at $26. And then I think we got into it. It was like a $1.4 trillion market cap for XRP if that was to occur. But that would be in the conversation of a potentially $10 trillion market cap for the crypto market as a whole, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything else.
I
Um,
think I
and
think I'm gonna pause you right there for a second, Waters, because I think it's also important to bring on the total crypto market and do the 1618 with that as well, because
yep, for
it's
sure.
important to show how the market cap as well aligns and makes it possible. Um,
Yep.
Specifically with a $1.4 trillion XRP market cap, if that were to happen, right? So here I think what you can
Yeah,
see
this is a
that,
very clean chart where you could see it nicely, pulling
yeah,
from the 2017 buying climax down to the selling climax of Q4 2018. And we literally perfectly hit the 1618.
yep.
Perfectly. I mean,
And
this
that's
was a little elusive, the fact that we didn't get to it the first rally, but we got to it on the second, on the double top. And shit. I mean, if you're looking at where it's at in the next cycle, it's around 7.2 trillion.
there you go, right? So the
And
market cap,
that's with institutions, bro. We didn't have that
yeah,
shit back here. So we're
yeah.
talking a different language today. We have some big
It,
players in this game.
it really is, brother. And with the ETFs out here as well, things are gonna get very spicy because right now I see like a big four in the market with XRPs, Bitcoin, Ether, and especially Solana as well. I think Solana has solidified itself as one of the big boys in this market. So I think that's very important. And with that 7.2 trillion being the 11618 fib, that gives the context for these major coins to be able to rise in unison together, you know. And I know
100%.
there's a lot of people in the XRP community that are like, market cap doesn't matter. Market cap doesn't matter. And what I'll tell you is, I used to believe that as well, because in regards to trying to pinpoint how much money there actually is circulating within the total crypto market or an asset specifically, market cap is not an accurate indicator for that, right? I believe market cap is just a price and supply indicator more than anything. However, in regards to using these fibs, it is an essential indicator. That is what these fibs point out, is this market cap and where the price will be based on these market caps. So I
Yeah,
think that's very
100%.
important. Everyone understands that for sure.
Yeah, and it gives you a range. Like I think at the end of the day, there are psychological things at play here. Like how many people have a hard time believing in 100K Bitcoin? And it's because it's 100,000. It's just this big round, no, easy number to
Mm,
focus all your energy onto. And when you have something that's so perfect like that, I mean, it would be no different than being back at a a $1,000 Bitcoin and looking up to a $10,000 Bitcoin. And did Bitcoin just hit 10,000 and that was the end of the show? No, it fucking went up to 19,000. Then it corrected back to three. And then people thought the same thing about 50K and it didn't go there. It went above that. It went to 60, 65, 66, and then eventually 69. So these big round numbers, it's like the $10 trillion market cap on the crypto market. It's just this big, perfect, idea.
Mhm.
You don't want to get too fixated on any of these things when it's that perfect number like that. That's where my work comes into play with numerology. And I've been doing this so many times. I mean, I've literally done this proven on my channel for the public, for everyone to see with XRP back in the last cycle. It's kind of what brought me and you together because I think a lot of people that are fans of your work were coming to you and being like, yo, this guy's using this system and he's actually applying it. And during the last bull run, during April when XRP was on its run up, I was legitimately using Gematria in order to determine my sell targets over here. And it started moving into this 176 and 186 level. And those were the final targets that I got out at. And the reason was because 76 and 86 are numbers that are in the Gematria of Ripple. And I've been doing this system with a lot of other things. Like Chainlink has 45 and 54 in Gematria, and I was selling back then at those targets. And if we look at where Chainlink is in the prior all-time highs, it made it up to what? The top was 50, literally $54. I was selling all between 45 and 50 because I never sell the exact perfect levels on my sell limit orders because usually they don't get picked up. But
Mhm.
I did the same thing with Zilliqa publicly. I literally got out on Zill right here at my key level. But it was crazy. I have the screen cap from Binance. I shared it with my community. I got out at 23 cents on this pump over here. So, I mean, I'm not perfect with this system by any means. I'm not preaching that I am, but I use it. I do actively use it, and it's been incredibly helpful along the way to have something that if it's not giving me those perfect round numbers, what's a little bit more specific and dialed in to the specific thing that I'm talking about that could help me get some idea as to where this is headed. And numerology runs this game.
Yeah. Let's see. Now, in regards to what were we getting at? Yes, Bitcoin. I know you wanted to touch on Bitcoin and how it leads the market. XRP is not tied to anything in and of itself necessarily. It needs Bitcoin in order to run.
Yep, typically. I think that's kind of where I was going to go with the price discovery idea for XRP. That when we look back to this phase over here, literally, this parabolic advance, it was because Bitcoin was in price discovery. And if we go over here to this moment, when we were in Bitcoin price discovery, we see the highest price possible for XRP. But then when we had an isolated XRP event that happened, which was a huge win in this SEC case, we couldn't get as high as where we did when Bitcoin was in price discovery. You see the
Mm,
discrepancy?
yeah.
So this should have been the moment where we go, oh, it's time to speculate on this and very heavily speculate on this. And that wasn't the case. I mean, shit, we didn't even get half the way up as we did from here. So I think this is very telling that this asset moves in, it's riding the coattails of Bitcoin. And it's going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. I don't know why it does, because that just shows the cult of personality that's going on with some people. Like, don't get offended by this shit. It's just investments, you know? It's like, why is the S&P doing so well right now? Or it's because there's like 6 or 7 companies that are doing well.
Mm,
Why do you have to get mad at that? Some people are getting like triggered by that. So I know it gets spicy here sometimes, but it needs to. Like if you just look at the way this asset moves all the time, it is based on Bitcoin's extremes. And we've seen recently Bitcoin come back into effectively this territory. It should be caught up. I mean, dude, this is where Bitcoin was at $19,600. XRP
mm,
was at 3. Now
mm.
Bitcoin's at 60 fucking $1,000 and this thing's at 50 cents. Okay. So this
Yep.
isn't me shitting on this project. I mean, again, I've dedicated a large portion of my portfolio to this. I've been actively trading it along the way, but I have to live in reality. And reality tells me that we need Bitcoin price discovery in order to have expansion in the XRP price. And what that means in plain English is a Bitcoin price that starts to break above 72,000 on a weekly close. If we can start getting above 72K on a weekly close, I think we will see Bitcoin sharply move into like the 90,000 territory, maybe even the high 80s. Because remember, Bitcoin's never going to do the thing you want it to do. A lot of people are going to want it to only go to like 70 something to do what it did in the last cycle, this like weird double top. And then a lot of people are also just going to want Bitcoin to blast through 100K. So many people are betting on that round number. But yeah, if we can start seeing Bitcoin close macro candles above 72, then I think you're going to see XRP sharply move to $1, $2. And that move for XRP between $1 and $2 can happen in a single week. And it
Dude,
could
it
just
can
be
happen.
because of Bitcoin price discovery, not even because of anything going on with the Ripple SEC case.
I have to step in here and say it can happen in a day. It
Sure.
can happen in a day too. Truly, like it's not even to be like a senseless shill, but look at what happened during the SEC case. The price for XRP doubled in a day. I'm not saying it's
Yep.
going to double in a day because a 4x in a day is absurd, but it's just
Yep.
to instill the fear of FOMO into people's souls. It's like we have every indicator that lets us know, yes, this is a crypto bull market. We have all the shackles on the Ripple and XRP fundamentals being released in real time. The case is ending. All the Ripple momentum is converging for the XRP perfect storm. There's no technical indicators that show that it's going to be destined to be suppressed. On the contrary, the 7 year, the 4 year pattern that it experienced from 2013 to 2017 is repeating itself, except over a 7 year span this time around for XRP. And that just means to me that that level that you showed for the 1618 for XRP is possible. That $26
Yes.
level as a peak for this coming move for XRP is possible. And that's why it's so important that that everyone listen, because I've posted on my channel numerous times my exit targets for XRP specifically this time around. And I've posted levels of $3, of $8, $13, $17, and $22. And people are like, bull, why are you being such a show? This is absurd. And it's not. These are realistic levels XRP could reach based on even just this analysis we're doing today and other charts we've shown on this channel as well. Can you also bring up the XRP chart one more time, brother, just so I can show one more thing? Um,
Sure.
I I think it's, can you do the, yes, perfect. I think it's so important right now that people know, um, we're not here to get clicks or views or generate ad revenue. I can fuck off and never talk on YouTube again and live my life and be perfectly fine. I'm genuinely here to spread a message and help people realize that we're at a specific moment in time, right? The community's been battered and bruised. We don't believe that anything is possible with this damn chart anymore because most of the biggest XRP fanatics have capitulated. They don't even believe in their own asset anymore. I haven't wavered. On the contrary, at the point where we should have been most wavering just a couple days ago when XRP broke down below that multi-year support, I was saying this is now when it's most likely we're going to move. So I think that's important as well. And Waters, can you put that XRP chart all the way at the end of the screen? I think that's the one. Yeah. So when I was telling everyone that my levels are 3, 8, 13, 17, and 22, it goes in line with this range that's on the screen right now because there's no selling the
Hmm.
perfect top. There's no selling the perfect top, right? I don't think I think even you say below this 1618, you're gonna be like 20 or 30% taking profits below that level because it's dangerous to try and
Yes, sir.
just sell the perfect level. So if what I
Yeah.
just stated
And
in
you want to know something interesting?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, you just shared all your levels are like pretty much the same levels that I've been talking about, like for years now. Like
Hmm.
they're the same. In my exit strategy blueprint, I get people all the time that are like, this hasn't been updated. I'm like, there's nothing to update. There's never been price discovery in this thing since 27.
Yeah.
It doesn't change. Like the chart is the chart, and where I see it projected at is literally what you said. And there's even gematria to back that up. You said $13. Well, 14 and 15 are two big gematria numbers for XRP. Then you mentioned the 26 or 23,
Two. 20.
22. So 22, 23, 24, and 25 are also all numbers for XRP. And I know people say, well, that's a wide range, but we have 22, 23 in Gematria, then 24 because X is the 24th letter in the alphabet. So I would personally be putting it at 22 as well. I wouldn't try to be catching this 26 target. So I would put it at 13 because I know I could catch the 14 and 15. And I'd put it at 22 because I know I would catch that swipe too. And bro, that swipe that happens right here could look like that. Like that shit only might last a couple days. And you might not have none of your orders triggered. And it might
It
not
could,
happen on the day you want it to happen.
it,
It might happen on a day where you're working a long shift at work or something. And
and
you can't.
that's the thing because people think because they see this chart, they're like, oh, that $3 range, I could just use this fib and extend it out, and I'll catch the exact top. And no, you won't, because exchanges have a tendency of being the worst they possibly can be at that specific moment in time when the peak is literally about to occur, right?
Yep.
Exchanges have a tendency of doing that. In addition, um, you may be at work, right? These moves could only last maybe a couple hours. Let's not even talk about days. A couple hours at the peak. So this is why that's so important. Just because you miss the exact peak doesn't mean you miss the move, right? Even if it retraces like another 10%, it's just 10% off the top. That's still a fuck ton of money from where we are now. So that's all I'm saying here is that we have a long way to go. And a big part of my strategy as well is protecting against not reaching these levels, right? That's why I have the 3, 8, 13 levels, because I think in the linear scale, we could reach that, right? Like based on the fib levels, that's a very realistic target. So we're currently at log scale right now, right? But what if the log scale fails? It doesn't work. I don't think it's going to, but let's say it does. Can you pull up the linear scale for these fibs very quickly?
Yes. Wait 1 second, brother. 1 second.
Yes.
All right. So we're talking about the linear scale now.
Right.
Yeah. So it puts us at about 5. And that's a very solid level to consider. Another thing that we should do that I think is important is to pull a fib from this alt season high, the one where XRP just got like a bull trap kind of lower high overall. And pulling the 1618 there puts us around 3, which is the
Mhm.
prior all-time high. And then if we were to put it based on the logarithmic scale, it would put us around 6. So that gives us a little bit of a range on like a slight new price discovery all-time high. Does that make sense? Like a slightly new. And that's very similar to what happened back in Bitcoin situation when it did that like weird double top. Like it only got slightly above the prior all-time high by a little bit. That would be very weird for XRP to only make it up to 5, for instance. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And that's important that people know too. It's not that I think it's only going to reach some of the lower targets.
Hey,
It's
brother, can
that
you hear me?
yeah. Do you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, I think.
Okay. Let me see. How about now, brother? Good, good. Everything okay?
Okay, yeah, yeah, perfect. So I was just mentioning that there's a reason to have levels that are lower because there's always the chance that we surge straight into prior all-time highs and get a big rejection there, and that's a very healthy thing. Very, very healthy. I wish Bitcoin did this in the last cycle, but it didn't. And let me show you what I mean. Like Bitcoin should have done this in the it sucks to say it should do something because nothing should do what you want it to do, but I'm letting you know from a the health of a market cycle perspective. You see right here, this was your prior all-time high. And then once we broke it, we went straight into price discovery and we never back tested that prior all-time high. That was very, very unhealthy. And that's why this bull run looked like shit. And that's why it went the way that it did. And we eventually came down to test much, much lower levels. As you can see, here was the prior all-time high. We came back to test 15,000 while that cycle peak was 19. It just got spread out longer. And if XRP was to come into like the $3 range and then build some support there between $2 and $3, that would be the perfect setup to launch us to 20. So what I mean is similar to this cycle over here. And I'll remove all the noise for you guys because I don't want you to get confused, but I want to make some sense out of what's happening here with my theory of the health of a market cycle. And I get a lot of shit for this because some people are like, why do you want a healthy market? Why is it? And I'm like, okay, well, then you're not an investor. Like the goal of this whole process would be that you feel safe holding something for a very long time horizon, as long as it's just continuing to gain value over time as the dollar uh yeah, as the dollar collapses. So
Mm,
you don't want to just get a bunch of fucking dollars and then those dollars are really, really weak. I mean, you would always want to keep a little bit of this investment. You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
that's the value investing methodology. That's the sick thing about Bitcoin, and nobody could take that away from Bitcoin. If you invested in Bitcoin back 10 years ago, look at where it is today. And you could have just taken small amounts of profit over time, but you had confidence in this investment thesis that you could keep some. So I want to maybe bring that up too. Why I talk about healthy market cycles or healthy market corrections or all of that. It's not to be a bull or to be a bear. It's to be a technical analyst and to kind of put people back into reality for a moment because there's too much of this like degen behavior in crypto, and they've gotten too used to these gains in some of these coins. So
Mm,
anyways, prior all-time high, we got to it. Rejection, nice correction actually, but we held on these highs for about 2 months, and then we went up into price discovery. This was not price discovery. Okay. This is what happened with Bitcoin recently. Bitcoin barely broke all time highs. Then, since it's had a decent correction, which we're still experiencing today, and it's been sideways, that is so much fucking healthier than what we did back in 2020 into 2021. So, that's for the XRP people out there. Imagine XRP went straight to $3, $3.30, or maybe it went slightly higher, like $4 or $5. Then it corrected back to like two. You know how many people would get shaken out, even though that would be one of the healthiest corrections possible. But smart investors would want to take a little bit off out of the gambling casino. Like you've been waiting on this asset for fucking 7 years or something, right? Sometimes it's nice to get some profits for once. So there's nothing wrong with setting a $3 to $5 uh, limit order in that regard. Like to be one of those people that at least you get the feeling to take some profits. Because a lot of people, bro, they just never sell, and then they're the ones complaining after a parabolic advance, buying the top again, even though they already had a low entry. You know, rinse repeat. It's pretty devastating to watch.
Absolutely. I think it's important people realize that as well. And it's like I'll sit here and say I have a 10% profit taking level at $3 for XRP and people think I'm a sellout. It's like fuck you. I've been here for 6 years now saying XRP, XRP, XRP on YouTube. You can get fucked. What do you mean belief? You want to talk to me about belief? I made my whole brand about this fucking shitcoin. What are you talking about? Belief. It's about making money. You know,
Well,
if taking
I mean,
10% out
bro,
of
like imagine
$3,
how I was feeling back in 2021 when I was
you
talking
know,
about selling below $2. People were nailing my hands to the fucking trees.
and
It was
but
sad.
that's the thing. It's like I've never met a moment in time where listening to other people's opinions have paid my fucking bills. I don't know about you,
Bro,
Waters, but not that
this
hasn't worked
is
for me, not once. And those
so
people that'll leave
important.
exactly, and those people that'll leave the shitty comments, they ain't gonna be in your life. You don't know who they are. There's some anon with no branding, with like 17 digits in terms of numbers after their username somewhere on the YouTube comments. It's like, bro, I'm so indifferent to this fuckery. I don't care. But it's important people realize that we all have to use the analysis that we're being presented with Don't just use ours. We're having a conversation, and I'd consider us both intelligent people, but use other people's as well, and try and put together your own thesis based on other people's work and your own work, and do your absolute best, and look at your life situation, and try and pinpoint why things are the way they are in your situation, and do it based on that. The only thing I would ever suggest is saying you should have some XRP, and I would also recommend not completely selling every single piece of XRP you have. Like
Yeah.
personally, and I'll sit here right now and tell people my sell strategy for XRP is 10% at 3, 15 at 8, 15 at 13, 15 at 17, 15 at 22. And at that point, there should still be 30% of my XRP bag for much higher, more explosive levels. And Waters, there's a reason for that. And could you possibly bring the XRP chart again all the way at the end? That one. Um, can you get rid of that the linear scale fibs if that's possible?
This is on log scale, linear scale fib pull right now on this one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can you get rid of that
So the
one?
setting is turned off. You
Perfect.
want me to
Let's
delete it?
or let's put it back to log scale very quickly.
Okay.
The reason
Oop.
I'm so big on having that 30% for the remainder of XRP is because what does it say? What does it say in terms of this move that we're about to make? Waters, you only just did that first move, and you're not accounting for the possibility of that back end 2018 move yet, because I don't think you believe
Yeah.
that actually happened. But
Well, it's not that I don't believe, it's just that it would be in context to the conversation of what everything else is doing. Like you
okay,
know me, bro, and it's the number one reason why I distance myself from the XRP cult because they're so their belief is so misplaced and it's so volatile and it's never based in reality. And every day there's a new thing that tells them like Ripple has a partnership now with like the Italian district attorney's office. And it's just like, what the fuck are we doing to prove anything? Like Ripple has partnered with lasagna, just the whole food. It has partnered with the city of Bologna, and it has been partnered with bolognese sauce. You know, it's like, shut up, bro. Like, this is dumb. It's cool to know these partnerships, but like in reality, we need Bitcoin price discovery. We need the shit being actually used. It could have all the partnerships in the like, I'm partnered with a bunch of people, I guess. I call them my friends. Ripple has friends,
yes, it does.
but it's not the product needs to be more than your friends, right? Bro,
Absolutely.
if me and you are just friends, but we never do a podcast or I never get to meet you someday and hang out, I mean, are we really friends or are we just like acquaintances? You know,
Yeah.
so I think there's like a volatile nature to the what's keeping the belief in the XRP community. And that's why recently, since I think what Solana's done and what we saw happen with Pepe and a lot of these other meme coins, that was the final nail in the coffin to just get a lot of those people to capitulate, as you mentioned earlier, even some influencers to be like, oh, fuck this coin. You know what I mean? But isn't it funny that back over here in March and April of 2021, we watched Bitcoin maxi channels convert to XRP people like
Mm.
literally in a week?
Yeah.
Like fucking paid shills. Like
Yeah.
they'll just do whatever it is for the cultural moment, and that's sickening, you know? So there's some to be said about this, but for me to entertain this move for XRP, this secondary spike, as you mentioned, it's totally in the cards, brother. But I need to see the big conversation. What's the fucking market cap with an $80 XRP or 100? What are we talking about here? What's
Yeah.
going
And
on? Bro,
and
if we
and
have an
and
$80 XRP, then your grocery prices are going to be devastating.
and I completely agree. I also want to allow for that scenario to be possible, right? I allow it to be possible. The reason I bring it up is not because I believe it's going to happen. The reason I bring it up is because based on my sell targets and percentages that I have allocated already, this specific move allows for my remaining 30% in terms of my XRP position to have one more big sell for another 15% of my XRP at like a 50 to $80 level, somewhere in that range, because that's where it's pointing to, right? It's I'm not over here saying, yes, everyone, this is exactly what's going to happen. No, I'm just saying that based, if we are doing the same 2017 style move that starts from February and ends in 2018, if we're doing that same move, we have pullbacks in between that we can trade and then rebuy positions in, right? And we also have a blow off top that, if paired with this specific 2024 chart, could send us as high as $80. And that's chart analysis that I think can't be completely thrown out the door. That's all I'm saying. And that's
Yeah.
this is me also saying, don't expect it. I'm just accounting for it in my selling profit taking plan, right?
Yeah. And I think we talked about this chart in the last podcast too, right? Like this
So we did.
idea of the Bitcoin being able, the Bitcoin did it, so why can't XRP do it? That shit, which I'm fine with, but it's like we're not talking about the same environment, you know? Back
Yeah,
then, this was the only, I'll say it, this was the only shit coin
yeah.
until it got a lot of belief and it did something miraculous. And the history is shown in the chart, and you can't deny that.
So
So,
this is
what's fascinating
2012,
about
correct?
Bitcoin?
This is 2012.
Yeah, this is the
Okay.
peak of 2011.
Yeah.
This is the peak of 2011. So if we went back right here, okay, look at where Bitcoin was. It was at like 50 cent, 50 to, yeah, yeah, I think it dipped. Okay, 70 cents, bro. XRP isn't even at 70 cents right now when we record this. This
Mhm.
shit went straight to $30. Then it corrected down to $2. And then it took a minute, but it got all the way up. Wait, sorry, that doesn't make any sense. Sorry, 30. Yeah, exactly, 32. And then when it broke out into this peak, it made it to 260. So, but that took some time and that had a lot of volatility along the way, you know, like when it broke into price discovery here and it got this $30 mark, which we can equate it today to like a $25 XRP just for fun. And then if it was to peel back all the way to two again, bro, like a lot of people wouldn't expect that if they're believing that we're going to have this surge immediately following, like we did back in this example, where it was
Mhm.
only 200 days apart. This was not 200 fucking days apart. Okay. This was a long time. This would be like you're at 25, you dropped to two, which is a 90 something percent correction. And then off of that, it took you another almost 2 years to get back into the next cycle. So this was 450 days to return back to the $25 XRP. You might as well have just sold it all, right? So if we're gonna think that
Yeah.
XRP can copy Bitcoin, and that's the belief system here that makes us imagine a three-digit XRP in the future, or an $80 or a $70 or whatever, if it happens this soon, I'm just letting you know if it happens this soon, and this kind of gives you my take on it. Again, I'm not like a fucking crystal ball. I'm not claiming to be a prophet or anything. This isn't remote viewing. I'm just using my gut right now, and I'm being a real one. If we get $70 plus XRP in this cycle sometime before 2026, then I think something happened in the world that like we're not going to be happy about. But if it was to happen in the next cycle, something like this, where it makes it to 25 this cycle, and then we have a consolidation period, we deeper correction, shake out some weak hands, more things develop on the world stage, and then we start peaking into the following cycle after some time, and it really builds some fucking support instead of doing what it always does, which is just crashes right back down into the sub 50 cent range, then I would be like, okay, this isn't that bad. But I would really feel like there would need to be an event. And this is where you come in, right? Because I just watched your last video too, and you were sharing some of your own thoughts, which I do not discredit. I do not, I think you have a lot of awesome ideas too to share. And I'll wrap up my thought for you to speak your part on this. And it's if we were to get that 50, 60, 70 plus dollar XRP this soon, before 2026, I think it would have to be event driven. And it's not a good event. Like I'm talking about some Hunger Games shit, like
Yeah, yeah,
some not so fun stuff. And I
yeah.
think people need to be careful then because they pray for this arbitrary price target to the upside, but they don't understand
What
the
that means.
ramifications of that.
Yeah.
So feel free to share your thoughts because I know you have some things to say, and then maybe this ties into what just happened with Trump yesterday.
Yeah, and if you just can bring that XRP chart again one more time, brother. It's a lot of people think that, you know, it'll just be fine and dandy when XRP hit if XRP hits these high levels like $80 that it has right here, if it would repeat that move. And
Hmm.
you're absolutely right. Like these prices going to these levels in the way they're doing, like they could, they have some real world consequences, like you mentioned. What would inflation be looking like at the time? What would geopolitical tensions be looking for at the time? Let's just be real here. War is very bullish for crypto. War is bullish for crypto. It's not, this isn't even my opinion. This is
Hmm.
what's happening, right? And it's unfortunate because what it is a destabling of the currency system, right? The fiat system is dying and this digital system is right here on standby or waiting, right?
Hmm.
XRP has been one of those players that I think will help restabilize things quite a bit. And that is the scenario I believe could be at play. That Hunger Games scenario bullshit. And I mean, like, let's just be a presidential candidate that is being heavily dissuaded by the mainstream media, is being compared to being the second coming of Hitler, is being
Or Christ,
or
depending on which
or
side you're
Christ,
on.
depending on
Right.
how you
Yeah.
view it. Yeah, yeah, it's the most one of the most polarizing figures, arguably the most polarizing figure in the 21st century. The dude just got shot yesterday, and before that, he was convicted of 589 counts of some bullshit. Whatever, whatever. It's fine. And then the other one, like they want to kill him or trip him so that they could bring in Big Mike. This is the reality. This is the reality. And I'm just over here as an objective observer and a skeptic of any and all things. Like, yeah, Waters, an event like that could happen. Like
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying. Is like they literally locked down the world because some people were struggling to fight off air. Like, let's be real, fam. Like, let's
Right.
keep it a buck. Like, some people were struggling with air. They locked
Yeah.
down the planet for 3 years and printed the dollar into oblivion. In the
Correct.
meantime, they completely ended the struggle for air once Putin invaded Ukraine. Cool,
Yeah.
cool. That's great.
Just like they removed all the military occupation in the Middle
That,
East
that,
because of C-19.
there you go.
First
Then,
time ever in this whole like charade, they
then
finally waited for the air to be toxic in order to remove people out of this scenario.
perfect, exactly, perfect, Water. Then here on this very channel with you, you correctly anticipated what it was October 7th or 8th. I even forget
Hmm.
that some major event involving Israel was going to occur at the end of the Jubilee, right? You
Hmm.
predicted on this channel. People could check that date. Nobody knew some hang gliders were going to be used, and IDF was just going to forget that it had the most advanced military technology in the world. No one was going to anticipate that one, but that's
Yeah.
fine. Nobody knows. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. I
Well,
thought
it's like,
for
look at what happened yesterday. Like, I did not take the time to deep dive into it, but as far as I'm aware, there's somewhere like of about 40 seconds that the Secret Service and these snipers were looking dead at the shooter that ended up being the one to pull the trigger that allegedly shot, Donald Trump. And I have a hard time believing that they would allow such a thing if it wasn't staged. Like, I'm not trying to say that he did not get hit. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't have enough information, nor do I give a fuck.
no,
But
no,
what I do want to talk about is like in no way, shape, or form they would allow somebody to sit there on a rooftop in their scope holding, no way.
it's either it's
There's no
either
fucking way. There's no
it's
fucking
either
way.
they literally wanted him to die or he used that to garner his martyrdom. It's
They
what either
waited for the
or.
shot. They waited
It's
for the shot, which
yes.
means that the same sniper that was shooting, that was allegedly on the side of the United States, Team USA, was either paid off by some intelligence. I don't know. I can't get too deep into that. But the point is that they would not allow that. Not even 4 seconds. They
Yeah,
wouldn't. It wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't. And the whole
it's
thing was
so
very,
quick.
very, very, very weird.
Yeah.
How it went down. The date that it happened on is not weird though, because the timing of it all is very very interesting because, and I can't get too deep into the exact date numerology or any of that, but it's like what you just brought up in your last video and something I also brought up in one of my live streams, why they did this early debate. So I
Hmm.
knew if they did an early debate, it's because it's in sequence with events that they need to do before the actual date of the elections. And
Yep.
bro, in my last podcast that I just released yesterday, I decoded this Trump assassination attempt, and it's fucking crazy how many synchronicities there are. Like there are so many numbers that are right in our faces. I mean, first and foremost, the only one I really need to share that I think will get people, interested in the numerology side of things is if you take from the event that happened 2 days ago with Trump, and if you bring it to the day of the elections, November 5th of this year, it is exactly 3 months. Sorry. Yeah, 3 months, 3 days, 3 weeks apart. 333.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Crazy. Like there's so many numerology things that I was uncovering in that. And I was just using a couple of trigger points, like one of which would be his arrest date. And if you take again from the day of his arrest back in August 24th, I think it was of last year, and you connect it to this assassination attempt, it was 10 months, 19 days, I believe. And that in numerology, you always remove the zeros. So you end up with 119. And I think this 9/11 symbolism is very important to talk about here because the first tower could be representative of his arrest. The second tower or the twin tower could be representative of the assassination attempt. And then remember
Bro,
it in 9/11, you had Tower 7. So I told everyone in this decode, this is free game here, guys. I told everyone in this decode that you want to look for something symbolic of the number 7 with Donald Trump to be next, and then it will not fully complete the ritual because then next you have the pentagon, which is the pentagram. And anyone who studies magic or alchemy, there's a reason why they draw pentagrams on the floor before they do these ceremonial rituals. So it's fucking weird shit. It's just what they do though. This is what they're into, and this is why they control the world. So yeah, you want to look for the number 7 coming next, and that's very telling that I think August is gonna be something. I think August is gonna be something. And with Tower 7, the way that it fell was it just fell with no plane. They didn't say any bombs, obviously. It just fell nicely. You know what I think Tower 7 might be symbolic of here? And this is my first time ever saying this, and I'm just kind of like throwing out my initial intuitive idea because again, I just decoded this for the first time yesterday.
mm.
Tower 7 is Biden because he just falls like
Yes,
he's literally
yes, the
gonna
motherfucker's gonna die. Yeah, I know he's
exactly.
gonna die.
I
I've
think
said
that's
he's
gonna
gonna.
be it. I
I
think
said
that's
he's
gonna
gonna
be it.
die. They have to kill him. They have to kill him, or at least say, bro, they have to kill him. They can't just roll this corpse out after this dude is over here just surviving bullets. There's
Yeah.
no way. They
So,
have
bro,
to.
I think
They
that
have
might be
to.
the decode. I
They
think it
have to roll
might
out
be
Big
him.
Mike. They have to roll out Big Mike. It's Big Mike, Donald Trump 2024. I pray Big Mike comes out as trans. And I pray that as a counter move to that, Donald Trump selects Caitlyn Jenner to be his vice president. That's all I want. That's all I want. Bro, that
Bro.
is the most 2024 shit I could ever hope for. I'm here for the plot. I'm here for the plot, and the plot needs to thicken. I want all the entertainment. Bro, the internet has returned. Yesterday, it returned. July 13th. It happened July 13th. And that's a year after the XRP case said it's not a security, bro. I
Yep.
am all for it.
Yeah. I mean, there has to be something tied to this, and I think it has to be in the month of August. And the only reason why is because I was sharing this now that you bring this up, I'm actually curious. I think there might be something you oh dude, I think it's Friday, August 16th. I think that's it. And I shared this in my decode yesterday, but now I'm tying in Joe Biden's birthday to it. If you want, I could show the screen so you guys aren't like, what the hell
Bro,
is he talking about?
do whatever woo
Sure,
woo
sure,
you
sure.
want. You're
Sure.
allowed to destroy
Okay. Can
all
you
of
see
my
my screen
channels.
now with the
Absolutely.
okay, sick. So one thing that I've been mentioning a lot lately is this upcoming Paris Summer Olympics is going to be ritualized for sure.
And I'm
And
glad you brought this up because we talked
yeah.
about it in the last one that didn't get saved, but I'm
Oh
glad
yeah,
you're
yeah,
bringing
yeah.
this up
Okay,
now.
yeah.
Good.
So I believe that the Paris Olympics is going to get ritualized. It has a lot to do with an event that happened back in the 70s called the Munich Massacre. It happened in Germany when the Olympics, Summer Olympics specifically, was hosted there. And during that Summer Olympics, a Palestinian terrorist group, they called them, even though it was likely agent provocateurs that were just paid intelligence. But anyways, they called it a Palestinian terrorist group, took hostages from the Israeli uh, Olympic team. Well, that seems to be the script they're playing this year, and since Jubilee, right? That was when it really kicked off because after that prediction of the post-Jubilee event and October 7th was tied directly to the Yom Kippur War 50 years ago. We've been hearing Israel-Palestine's been the talk of the town since. And that's been the main focus since quite recently, I suppose, with what's been going on with Trump. But needless to say, that is the exact two countries that had that issue back in that Munich massacre. It was a terrorist event, a terrorist attack during an Olympics, specifically a Summer Olympics, and specifically in Europe. Okay. Now, this is very fascinating because 50 years ago was also the Jubilee. And this is how I was able to determine the likelihood of there being a Jubilee related event in 2023, which we got. So now that this is still part of the conversation, it's making me think that this Summer Olympics could very well be ritualized since it's a direct connection to that time frame back then with the Yom Kippur War. And it was with the same two nations, both in turmoil, both the same problems, both this like war narrative. And we have this upcoming Summer Olympics happening on July 26th. And then the reason I'm showing you August 16th right now in this, all of this week, is because it's the 33rd week of the year. So if anyone's new to numerology, the number 33 is a master number. It's the master number of transmutation. That's why it's tied to Jesus Christ with dying at 33, the 3 days of darkness, the resurrection. It's the phoenix rising from the ashes. This is actually tied to something that goes on in the human body every single month. I'm not going to go too into it, but needless to say, this number 33 is considered sacred, holy, very powerful, very magical. That's why I just summarize it by saying it's the number of transmutation. Well, guess what Olympics this is going to be? The 33rd Olympics. So this Paris Summer Olympics will be the 33rd Olympics, and it literally ends on August 11th, which is a Sunday, transitioning into August 12th, which is the 33rd week of this year. Now, to go even deeper, this date of August 16th is leaving 137 days in the year, and 137 is the 33rd prime number. So during the 33rd week of the year, we have the day leaving 137 days, 33rd prime, right after the 33rd Summer Olympics. And you guys here in the XRP community probably know that Gary Gensler is the 33rd chair of the SEC. He even writes in his Twitter bio, 3 kids. So he's using the 333 code, just like Trump assassination attempt was 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days before the election, also happening in November. Well, Joe Biden's birthday is also in November. The assassination of JFK was in November. So I'm taking from November and I'm going back to this date of August 16th. And I'm thinking that this has something to do with it because if we take from Joe Biden's birthday to August 17th, you're going to see it's 3 months and 3 days apart. So we have another 33. But why I think this is so important, August 16th, is something that I shared on the world stage before it happened. Well, I don't know if I was talking with you about it, but I said that in a YouTube video to expect an event with Iran because we had a 68 double digit date numerology. And every time we have this 68, we tend to have something related to war. And remember, Iran had the drone strike on Israel. The following 68 date numerology, the president of Iran dies in this helicopter crash.
Hmm.
So it was mind blowing because I said the exact country, the exact date, and it was tied to this 68. Also, when you look at the Russia-Ukraine invasion, it was 2/24/22. You see 68. The day World War One started was a 68. The day World War Two started was a 68. The day Vietnam started, or the day the USA went to Vietnam, the Vietnam War was an 86 date numerology. Also, Yom Kippur War started on October 6th. Octo is eight, 6 day, 6-8, written internationally. Bro, they love this 68. And I was thinking, if you ever worked in food and beverage, like especially as a bartender, you always hear this term like 86'd it, right? Or it's like a term to say like we ran out of something. So I think that there's something deep to this, but this number 68 is coming up on August 16th. And if you take from the day of this recent assassination attempt, which was the 13th of this month, and you go back to the 15th, which was the initial date that I was decoding yesterday, they're 33 days apart. So we have all these 33s in
Why
this
is the
particular date.
15th? Why is the 15th being brought up again? What is the
The
15th?
15th specifically because it's tied to the Donald Trump assassination. It's 33 days after,
Okay.
and it's in the 33rd week of the year.
Hmm.
And also after that 33rd Olympics, and also the following day of Friday is the 137 33rd prime, but also it has this 68. So, bro, what if something happens related to Trump on the 15th and this signals a war move to happen on the 16th? You see, it's like
Whether
dominoes falling. And then on the
so.
17th, you have this the Biden connection, which I made to
Oh
11/20,
my
and that's
God.
3 months and 3 days to Biden's birthday. Like
You
none of
know,
this shit would shock me at this point.
this is important. First of all, the part about Gary Gensler having three kids in his bio, I'm just gonna throw out. But I feel you. He is the 33rd SEC chair. The other parts, in terms of contextualizing everything that we've brought up, is important. Now, you brought up at the beginning of this 50-year Jubilee cycle was the Yom Kippur War. And then that allowed you to move for into October 7th. Was it October 7th or October 8th that motherfuckers were flying on hang gliders?
Yeah, it was October 7th. And the
Okay.
idea here was to expect something with Israel because of the Jubilee. And
Mhm.
this is the only nation that practices this calendar, utilizing the Hebrew calendar.
Yeah. So that event triggered the Israel Palestine conflict we're in now,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So this is
Which I should
important.
also connect and see if there's anything I could get. So keep talking.
And what's important is that that Olympics that you discussed, that was a terrorist event with the Palestinians versus the Israelis, specifically in Europe. This time around, we already have the stage set for Israel Palestine being in conflict already. And then this is also going to be in Paris. Mind you, just some added context. The mass unchecked migration in Europe and also happening in the United States has definitely allowed for a platform for a heightened level of potential terrorism to be at play as well. So I'm not opposed to seeing that happening as well, right? That's
Yeah.
very important. And I think people need to be aware of this. Now, the 33 days after this assassination attempt on Trump being August 15th, I think that's more or less just let's wait and see. But the 16th is specifically what again? One more time.
It has this 68 date numerology, and this 68 has been tied to
It's
almost all of the war related events that we've had.
is that the end of the Olympics? Is that day the end of the Olympics?
No, the Olympics ends on the 12th, or sorry, on the 11th on Sunday.
Okay.
So what I see happening during the Olympics, it would make more sense for it to happen in like the days leading up to it or the day of the opening ceremony because
Hmm.
they want to get it when like people are distracted, right?
Hmm.
Like day 6 of the Olympics like drops off in viewership. Like actually, bro, nobody fucking watches the Olympics. Like the Olympics has like more people watch Tucker Carlson than they watch the Olympics. More people watched a
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle special on Netflix than I'm being honest. Like I'm not trying to shit on these athletes and how much effort they put in,
No,
but like
it's
nobody
true. At
watches
some
more. Like it's really
yeah.
low. So when they're gonna do an event, I should also look into Munich Massacre more, like dissect it a little. I don't think it's gonna go exactly the same way though. But
Hmm.
I do feel in general the Olympics will be ritualized, and it would have to do with something in the city of Paris to be super dialed in. And right now, Paris is going through a lot of civil unrest because of their elections. So this
And
is the
that's
perfect
important.
environment for it to be explosive.
That is important. And that was I was about to bring that up and I really appreciate it. Guys, Paris is going through some shit, right? It's like they just had some elections where conservatives have been winning and the liberal president Macron isn't having it. He's like, fuck this. Where there is no winner. Nothing's going on. Fuck you. Where and that's political unrest, right? I talked about in my 3 hour long XRP video, um, how this election year has the most elections happening all at once ever,
Wow,
right?
really?
Ever. So
I didn't
there's a
know
lot of
that.
changing of the guard and a lot of changing of power that's happening in time and in this moment in time. And this is truly chaos being chaos, order out of chaos. This is the year of chaos. They are um, opening up a brief window of fuckery for you to be able to position yourself to take advantage of the chaos while everyone's distracted. It's going to be like 2020. Remember everything that happened in 2020? It's going to be like that, except more extreme, right? What could be more extreme than COVID? Well, the Civil War movie they put out, the World War III stage they set,
Leave the world behind.
leave the world behind. There's
Bro,
some
they've come out with like 6 movies just this year that are like
This dude up
showing us
to
the script.
three, and it's like, geez, it's so clear. It's so clear, you know.
It's so
Just
bad. It's like
yeah,
it's kind of rough because it's clear that the USA is getting it's getting its moment, and the Olympics is obviously going on in Europe, but we need to remember that these are trigger events that are happening from the solar eclipse, the Great American Eclipse, which that eclipse did pass through France. So this is obvious now, and it's nobody can deny it because Hurricane Beryl that just occurred, it literally took the same path as the Great American Eclipse on April 8th of this year. It took the same path as totality of that solar eclipse.
mm,
Like, bro, have you ever heard of a hurricane that's made that type of move across the entire USA, especially after going through the Caribbean first, making land on Texas and then all going all the way up to the Northeast? Like, I've never heard of that.
dude. This is
Maybe
all.
I'm an amateur, maybe I don't study weather enough, but like I've never heard of that. And now even if someone could prove that it's happened before, can you show me where an eclipse that was prior to it also had the same path? Like, get the fuck out of here. Those eclipses are so rare. And that was the first eclipse that we've had in a long time where the media, governments, local, municipal, like fire departments,
They
police
were all
stations
covering
were
it. Yeah.
sending out flyers and telling people to stock up on more water. And they had preparedness going on in local hospitals in a couple of the places that were on the path of totality. It's like, what are they doing? Why were they so prepared for this? What's going on? And it seems to be that there's this incredible amount of energy going on, and it has pulses of energy. And one of the big pulses has been this Hurricane Beryl, specifically to the USA. And I think the other pulse will be what's going on with France and all their civil unrest and what's going on with this Olympics. And then you'll see pulses go throughout. I mean, even what just happened with Trump yesterday, it's all pulses from these eclipses because these pent up a lot, they are pent up energy. And one thing you said before, and then we could get back to this, that I'm just curious. Did Jay Clayton, did his Twitter profile say the number chair he was of the SEC?
No, but
Okay. Did the guy before
don't
him?
I don't remember to
Okay.
be fair, but it was
Because
30
you
seconds.
mentioned
But
you mentioned like throwing out the idea of that, and that's fine. I don't think people should be taking insignificant things and making it important, especially if it doesn't resonate with
no,
you. But I
no,
do.
just the three kids part, just the three kids part.
Okay. Yeah. But even that's fucking awkward. It's like, why would you want the world to, remember when I was growing up, I used to see, not when I was growing up, when I got a little bit older, I started seeing people with the minivans and they had the kid and the dog picture on the back of it and like the amount of family members that they had. Remember that? Have you ever seen
Yeah,
that?
What a pacified world that was.
It's so weird because you had all of your kids and everyone in your family like as stickers, like bumper stickers on your car. And I remember a comedian one time made a joke. He was like, "Have you ever heard of pedophiles?" Like you're giving them the exact number of fucking victims that you it's the funniest joke. I was thinking about this. Like, why is Gary Gensler putting his kid number on his fucking Twitter profile?
It's
What
all
are you
right, bro.
doing?
He's a lizard, bro.
Is he that
They're
proud?
untouchable.
Or
They're
does he
untouchable.
have a handler that tells him what to say, what to post? Like, I don't feel like
Bro,
any of these guys in politics are running their own accounts.
Gary Gensler has never said a significant word that is his own opinion since the day he came out of the womb. And I've never seen an interview. Anyone at home, have you ever seen an interview with this man answers like he has any testicular fortitude at all? It's like, oh, no, I can't answer the question. This little Mr. Burns motherfucker. I pray one day, I pray to meet him. I pray to meet this man one day. The things that would occur, the things.
Well, man, I think you're a nice guy. I don't think you mean that.
No, 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 no. You don't know what I said. I
What are you
said
gonna do?
things,
You're gonna give him a wedgie? Pull his
wedgie.
bars over his head?
Absolutely, absolutely not. I'm gonna take a fucking picture and make an incredible meme. What do you
Oh, okay.
mean? What do you mean? It's
Okay.
gonna be a fantastic meme. He's not gonna know shit about who I am because nobody knows. And then I'm gonna make terrifying memes.
I remember when I made this toilet paper merch with Gary Gensler's face on it, and I thought that was pretty funny.
No, that was pretty good. I do remember. Hey, if you would have sold them back during COVID, that would have been a fucking a
Oof.
hustle.
That would have been a double entendre, bro.
Mm,
That would have been
we'll
deep.
see.
But yeah, like
Before,
with this whole thing that's going on right now, the next couple months are really important because there is a couple of things that are going on right now that we haven't I don't want to say we haven't seen before, but it's like during World War II, we didn't see the market at all-time highs like this. We
mm,
we also I don't think we definitely didn't have the luxuries that we have today. That's for sure. Like there's no comparison between now and World War II. But when I'm talking about the stock market and talking about the markets, because that's our focus today, and assets, and you say that war is bullish for crypto, can you I'll maybe share some thoughts later, but can you share your thoughts on that? Because if you
mm.
also believe that a big event could occur and this can create some sort of wipeout of asset. Do you think it's going to be with crypto only? Do you think it's going to be with stocks only? What do you see?
No, so typically what happens, let's say let's point to the last like major global black swan event that occurred that really shook up markets, and that was COVID,
Yep.
right? March 2020. What occurred was I don't it wasn't necessarily that COVID was the reason, but they cut rates right then and there, all the way from the levels they were at to zero,
Hmm.
right? That was the trigger to cause the V-shaped crash, right? It was the saying, "Oh, it's COVID," but the simultaneous rate cut move. Whenever they cut these rates, the market tanks because to the big boys, that's the indication. Okay, things are not good right now, so we're gonna get out. But what happens after that? QE kicks in, money printing comes in, and then they artificially inflate this shit again. We are at the peaks of the stock market right now, correct? But we're in an election year. Are they just going to crash the market into infinity and beyond during an election year when the motherfucker's trying to get elected? No. They're going to
Yeah.
crash it, deflate the bubble a little bit so they can expand this bullshit for a little longer. Like
You're thinking
that's
this year or you're thinking after the elections?
it's not there has to be a pullback at some point but before this election,
Yeah, I
in my
agree.
opinion.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, I mean,
sometime in
seeing
the
the stock market doing what it's doing right now, it's really unhealthy. Like
yeah. But and
it's really not healthy at all.
And I would assume that would coincide with some type of quick rate cut event, quick panic sell off, and then recovery. I don't know what the event would be, guys. I don't know how they'll sell it, but it'll probably be some level of rate cuts accompanied with the QE into infinity. right?
Yeah.
Because only that's the only tool they have. It's, oh, inflation has been fantastic. Inflation has been overperforming. Oh shit, some major event just happened where we have to cut rates all the way to the bottom, just like Trump did back when that happened. That made the stock market look so fantastic for his term at the end. And da da
Hmm.
da. Look at the economy, and the stock market is the whole economy because look at how good it looks. And then, oh, after the new president is in, okay, let's crash this shit. Fuck you. 4 years of terror. Boom. Done. Done.
Yeah. I mean, we could have a little fun real quick if you want. We could track a couple of things that we talked about in earlier conversations. Maybe not the last podcast that we did together, but the one before that. And we were talking about this S&P chart where I mapped out every single year of the dragon. There's not too many iterations. If you want, I could go through a couple and we can maybe see a pattern for Q3, Q4.
Sure.
Yeah. Unless you have any questions or anything, but I think this could also help with the timing of like and our awareness of it because every year
Sure.
of the dragon is an election year,
Mm,
naturally.
yeah.
So what we have over here is the market rose off of the summertime correction and it went all the way into September. And I have Rosh Hashanah mapped out because that's a very important time frame for markets, believe it or not. Whether you practice Judaism or don't, whether you care about the Hebrew calendar or don't, it just is. So the market you can see in the last year of the dragon perfectly went up into the Hebrew New Year and then it corrected into November. So I don't know, are the elections always early November? Is it like the
Yeah.
first Tuesday of November? Is that kind of how it goes?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just see if I could find where the election date. Okay, the election date was the 6th of November, I suppose. And then
Oh,
after the
sorry. Except the last one because waiting 8 days for the election results during a pandemic is perfectly
Sure,
normal.
sure, sure. But like in
Continue.
2012, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so over here, I guess it was November 6th, and then you could see the following day was a pretty, we corrected after that day. Corrected. But then we ended the year coming back to the September highs, the Rosh Hashanah highs, and then we went through the rest of that Chinese New Year going up, and then we continued up. But that's really fascinating, right? We went up into September and had a correction into November. So let's go back. We'll do the one before it, which was one of the very historic year of the dragons. It was the dot-com bubble. So this is very interesting and important. This is the start of the year of the dragon, February 20 or 2000. We peaked March 24th of the year 2000. We never made new highs. Well, we did not make any new highs for several years after that. But when we examine the way that this recovery happened, the double top before we had the deeper correction was September. So we have 2 year of the dragons in a row where we come up pretty bullish in September, but in this iteration we went much lower. The reason I'm not entertaining some shit like this is because this was also a Shemitah year, and that's another story. But the dot-com bubble was during a Shemitah. The '08 subprime mortgage crisis was during a Shemitah. The one after that in 2015, 2016 was the Asian markets having some serious issues. The one before this one into the year 1993 and 4 was the bond market crisis. The one before that was Black Monday, which was also this year of the dragon over here, which we'll quickly look at. And we'll see that we went up and actually had a pretty nice, healthy market throughout the entire year of the dragon. But the big difference is we had Black Monday before that. So of course, there we weren't talking about all-time high markets during the year of the dragon, while we are in that now. This was Rosh Hashanah. This was October. We went up before the election, came down after the election, pretty much into the same time frame. Fuck, that's pretty cool. We keep correcting into like mid-November every time, and
Yeah,
then we wrote,
because they don't need to keep the market propped up for to get elected anymore. It's just
yeah,
okay. Fuck you guys. Let's reveal exactly what's going on behind the scenes. And actually, what's so fascinating, bro, is that now Congress wants to ban themselves from owning stocks officially. Now they're really trying to roll it out quickly, as fast as possible. And the
mm,
last time they had Fed officials being banned from owning stocks at the exact top in 2021, the previous all-time high of the stock market. In 2021 is the exact moment that the Fed officials were banned. So they could sell and be like, oh, yeah, it's corrupt that we own these. This is a conflict of interest. It wasn't a conflict of interest at the fucking bottoms. You just needed
yeah,
some legislation so you could rug pull America.
yeah,
Now, the great American rug pull will be completed by your elected officials completely selling the top on your 401ks, ROAs, R IRAs, pensions. You are fucked, and they're fucking you.
Yeah. If anyone like really realized that stuff, they would wisen up.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
This
this is a pretty clean trend line support that we had over here back in 88. We back tested at the end of the election, then just kept moving higher. And one thing that's pretty cool is there was this correction during late August. The one over here before that, there was this correction that kind of effectively ended by late July. Over here, there was this correction that yeah, we pretty much moved up most in this like very choppy fashion. So it's not so similar, but let me see if we have any more connection. By the way, I'm not trying to prove any points here. I'm just we're being curious and we're examining it all together. That's what the point of this presentation is. Well, look at that. 1976, Year of the Dragon, topped out literally on Rosh Hashanah, had a correction into fuck. It's the same time in every November. This is really cool. We keep correcting into the same exact time frame every single November, and then peaking. And most of the time we recover. So end of the year, we could still be looking really good. But what you're saying right now, about a shorter term correction, I don't think it'll be so deep.
no,
I
that's
think in
fair. Yeah.
general, if there is to be a deeper one, it would have to be after September, which by the way, if it's going to be in alignment with Rosh Hashanah, this is a very special year because Rosh Hashanah lands on on the annual solar eclipse, the next solar eclipse on October 2nd. I
Bro,
keep teaching people about. Mhm.
can I be honest with you? Like ever since like me and you crossed paths, like everything that ever happens, like just scares me now. Like
What?
like oh, this great American eclipse making an X on the 24th year. Oh, that's great. Oh, these two blood moons that aligned with the FTX and Terra Luna collapse. Oh, great. Oh, Rosh Hashanah lands on the perfect eclipse for this year while
Yeah.
presidents are being shot and the other one's supposed to die. Oh, this is fantastic. It's like Waters, it's not your fault, but fuck you. Fuck you. Now my mind is just done. Like I used to be crazy before. Like genuinely. I'm some anonymous fuck that talks about XRP for years, telling people to invest in altcoin vapor and then saying follow it anyway. It's not financial advice. And now I'm over here looking at gematria and fucking astrology and how it aligns to some bullshit about when my money's supposed to go up. This is insane behavior. This is delinquent behavior. I want everyone to know at home. I know this is delinquent behavior, but we're gonna be so fucking rich out of the end of it. I promise you.
Oh
I
man, I
promise
think
you.
this is the antithesis of delinquent behavior. Delinquent behavior is when you roll up on like some 1 million subscriber YouTube channel and they're selling you on some sign up to FTX because I'll get a referral kickback on it. You
No,
know,
bro,
like
those
that's
are
the delinquency shit.
no,
Like
bro, those are the professionals. Those are the professionals. They have their
trust
Illuminati
the professionals,
contracts.
bro.
They have their Illuminati contracts. They sold out to the pride flag long ago. They are the untouchables. We are the ones that they come to our house, they appear, the lizards appear from their interdimensional hideouts, and they say, you motherfuckers, if you get too popular, you're done. You're done unless you take this money. Unless you take
Yeah.
this money. And if you don't take this money and sell out and seek hail to the pride flag, then it's over. It's over.
Not even the pride flag. It's this new one that has like the trans. I don't even know what it is. It's crazy.
Dude, it's the triangle with the circle in the middle now. Listen, look, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I'm gonna go on a rant right now. They might come after me today. It might be my last day. You saw how Trump got shot. Oh no, El Toro Loco's next. They
Oh
haven't wanted me
man.
for a
No,
while.
you're protected by the Holy Spirit, dog.
No, listen, I am, and that protection might be okay. It's your time is done from what's happening next.
Yeah. Save you from the fucking earth turning into flames.
Listen, bro.
But
Listen.
let's get back to this before we get off the rails, man. But yeah, like so pattern in September is pretty obvious, guys. Like, I mean, we can't deny this every election year, and then we're getting this mid-November bottom. So keep that in mind. Like, if we move up, if we just keep moving up, we could finish our short-term correction between July and August for the stock market. But then this September is higher highs, and then yeah, this mid-November correction is pretty clear. I mean, undeniable pattern. Let's see, do a couple more till we get to World War II, and then we'll stop. So over here, we have an interesting year, 1964. I don't know much about this particular year. I don't know what this election was. Was this Kennedy? Who was the president in 1964?
One more time.
Who was the president in 1964? Let me try
Was
looking
it
it up.
JFK?
I think he died in 63 by assassination.
It was a
So, oh, it was okay. It was Lyndon Johnson. He took over right after him. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The Civil Rights Act of 19. Okay, whatever. I'm moving on. So, uh, Kennedy assassination was here. Boom, that big red candle, and then they were like, "Oh, who cares? This guy died. Let's keep it going." Like this would be like if Trump died, this would be the reaction. It would be one red day, and then it would just be like, "Let's keep it going." Bro, isn't that sad? Isn't that crazy? Like that was one of the the term conspiracy theorist was created because of his assassination, right?
Oh, that's fascinating. I
That's
didn't know that.
facts. The
Okay.
CIA literally created a document where they released it and talked about the necessity for this word, for this term, conspiracy theorist. And it was post the Kennedy assassination because so many people were conspiring about that. And then what was it like a couple several years later, we had the moon landing, and that was also very controversial. Anyways, getting back to this 64 year, um, we don't really have too much of a pattern to identify besides kind of ending bullish at the end of the year. Like Year of the Dragon, we do tend to end off very bullish. And this is why I told everyone that my target for the S&P is 5,800 points. You guys could all write this down. My target for the S&P during this Year of the Dragon 5,800, and it's in alignment with the average from beginning to end yearly gains that we see during a dragon year. So it's a very positive year. And they're not frequent, they're every 12 years. So there's a decade in between every single, there's like a generation in between almost. So let's go back. I kind of want to skip this one, but August top, correction into October, finished off the year higher. That's really all you need to know. Finishing off the year higher seems to be the of the essence. And I'm going to finish off my theory on all of this in a moment. Let's get to World War II because there's one more. All right, so I'm going to turn these candles into area so you can see this data. And we went up into November, and then that was the end of the show. We went deeper after this into this was when the war really started kicking off and more countries started getting involved. And then over here, the following year, there's an astrological importance of 1941. I'm not going to get into it right now, but you see this double top ended in September. And then we had a downtrend that went much, much deeper. So I feel September is clear, obvious time to have some continuation of bullish energy, a short-term pullback into mid-November, right after the end of the election, right after the elections are over. And then we could most likely still finish off the year bullish. And then my theory is I don't think the Fed is going to do anything fancy or different until Q1 of 2025. I believe. The Year of the Snake, I think, is really powerful. One other thing, element to add to this that might make more sense and go along with your wars bullish idea is that during the Year of the Snake, and you're gonna hate me right now, Bull. Like I know you're gonna hate my guts,
I
but
hate you already.
during the
I
Year
hate
of
you
the
already.
Snake, during the Year of the Snake is always a year that the United States of America gets involved in a conflict every single time, specifically the USA. So if you go back to World War One, they got involved in the Year of the Snake. In World War Two, they got involved in the Year of the Snake. In Vietnam, they got involved in the Year of the Snake.
Mm.
Afghanistan war post 9/11, that was the Year of the Snake. Um, Also, we have this upcoming Year of the Snake, and we are clearly talking about war on the world stage more than
Yeah,
ever, very similar
it's
back to World War II. So
what
I
I
feel
think.
that that's a very obvious thing to point out that the USA will get ready to enter this war, whatever the fuck this war will become between now and them entering it, or they will enter it in the Year of the Snake. And that will probably be the trigger point for like an initial corrective move. But then I still think there's room to go up more, depending on the timing of that, of course.
What I think is so interesting as well is that it's the dragon year, and you've mentioned that China is the dragon on the global stage, right? And
Symbolically,
that's
sure.
symbolically correct, yeah. And I think considering the Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, and also potentially the Taiwan situation going on, um, I think it's important to note that a multi-front conflict at the moment would be insane. But it would also, if I were China, would be powerful to try and do this while the U.S. is heightening tensions into this election conflict. And trust me when I say, the, the last two elections have been denied by both sides, right?
Mhm.
So this one, the Lord knows what will occur. Lord knows, but the point is that militarily, it would make sense if I were a foreign nation trying to get a piece of land that has the most powerful technology in the world that I've been declaring I need to integrate into my nation. I would consider that to be a time to do that when also the the Chinese calendar symbolizes that that may be a good moment to do it for me.
Yeah.
Like that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. And I think there's something to that. And then USA could be symbolic of the snake, in many, many, in many ways. I've always believed such, considering that the US dollar is the world reserve currency and the snake wrapped around the rod, like you could call it the rod of Asclepius or the caduceus, or there's many symbols out there, not only shared by the medical or hospital system, I call it the sick care system, but also shared in money. And you could see this very clearly in a lot of money symbolism too, with this rod of Asclepius or the caduceus. It's the snake wrapped around the staff of Hermes. So that snake, in my opinion, tied directly to money, finance. They make money green for a reason. The dollar even has this kind of like a lizardy sort of scaly look to it on the back. And there's plenty of people that have decoded into this too. But it's fascinating how we go from the dragon year into the snake year, both serpent symbolism, both reptilian symbolism, and those 2 years have always been working in tandem with each other historically as big moments in change in our world stage. And I think the best example would be 2000 to 2001. 2000 dot-com bubble collapse. The USA was looking like the hero with Silicon Valley and everything going on over there, as you all know. Crazy speculation. Bubble pops. It ends up being a fucking crisis. Everyone and their mother was trying to get involved in this market at the absolute worst time. And then a year later, boom, you get hit with the 9/11 event. All the morale is just fucking gone in this country. But then it's the perfect environment hormonally, like, and like culturally, to get everyone to have an enemy, right? You kind of manipulate them into having this enemy, and then you can push the energy to where you want. And then they confiscated literally everything from the Middle East. It's fucking sick how that all
mm,
went. Like when you really look at how it all went, it had nothing to do with war, terror, weapons of mass destruction. It had nothing to do with that. It literally just had to do with like raiding the poppy fields to then bring more painkillers to the USA and to push that new agenda, that new crisis, which a lot of people now have moved from one painkiller to the next, and now there's a fentanyl crisis. So if you really, really study the domino effect of it all, it was for the pharmaceutical companies to make more money. You end up with C19. You see it was the same exact ploy, the V, the jab, and all that stuff. Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be any different this time. It'll just be isolated on a different geographic location. But I still don't feel that the USA is ready to have like a civil war. I really don't. I think they're gonna try so so
mm.
so hard to pull that off. I
Waters, we were 2 centimeters away.
when really like the George Floyd thing?
No, no, we were 2 centimeters away yesterday. Like
You
that.
really think that would have done you? Do you?
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
wondering. I'm
If
being I'm being
if he
curious.
died, oh, the base would have been a uproar. The base would have been there would have been an uproar, bro. Of course,
Yeah, I mean,
who
but
died?
But
Come
look
on.
at the effect that Kennedy's death had on the world. Like, I mean, it was like we had a day market correction. Some
Uh,
people cried, and then everyone went back to
I
fucking
know,
off
but
and doing their
that's
jobs.
different.
We didn't
That's
have a
different
civil war.
times. The people
Why
believe
is it different times? We went into
people
Vietnam, dude.
believed in the system before.
Like, we didn't go to a civil
People.
war. We went into a literal another country to fight fascism or
No,
whatever.
I know, but and like when Kennedy got shot, like people still believed in the White House and presidency and things were fair and
Okay,
where like now nobody
sure.
everyone's like half of the country is like, oh, this dude is incompetent because he's
Okay.
about to die and he has dementia. The other one's like, oh, this dude is incompetent and racist and a
But
reincarnation of Hitler. So it's
yeah,
like
but the
nobody
one thing to
believes.
mention though was the George Bush era was 8 years of like a chimpanzee running the country. They all knew he was stupid. They all didn't really believe in him either. The 9/11
So
event happened and he still maintained posture. I mean, I'm just unsure if like having somebody who's like incapacitated running could be enough to destabilize things, but it is a different environment for
but
sure.
it's
Like,
it's like the social media aspect as well, and the algorithm polarizing everyone's opinions, and then you have
sure.
that's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's also that. So
I can't
it's
disagree with that, dude.
yeah.
Social media is God right now, like the legit God of man. Everyone goes to social media and believes things almost immediately, like whatever it is that they're seeing. It was the case so often with what was going on with Bitcoin with the ETF. How many times did we watch people like fall for some like photoshopped picture and then we watch the actual price get affected by it?
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Twitter has a lot of power, man. Like, and I think that's why they put Elon in this position at this time, for that, because they know that he's going to do a lot of dirty work for them. Or if he doesn't, he'll just be pushed into doing it anyways by his handlers.
It's
So,
it's fascinating how people will just bend over backwards to for the clear dude that's controlling every single aspect of the new world order. It's like, okay, the motherfucker has the chips and the cars and the rockets and the social media and now wants to make it into a payment processor so that'll tie into the finances.
yep. Social
You
credit.
motherfucker, look, I get it. Elon is a character, and he's a pretty fun character, and the Cybertrucks are all right, and it's fine. But you're not skeptical at all of this, madman.
Yeah.
I don't
I have
know.
one.
We're just going. No one man should have all that power. What happened to that one? Go on.
Yeah,
It's,
well, one man could have a lot of the illusion of power, and it's no
yeah,
different with a president. I mean,
yeah,
I can't even believe the I know yesterday there was a lot of people that were like, I wish he died, you know? Like there was a lot of people who were acting like that. And I
yeah.
think that's fucking crazy. I think if you wish death upon another person, even from an ideological perspective, you have some demons inside of you,
Demons,
right? And if
demons,
you're
and
somebody who is just like, oh my God, I'm so happy, like as if this man had any control over anything that's going on in your individual life, that's also quite interesting because
yeah.
we watch the worship of other people that are going on in this world over the appreciation and gratitude for people's own families. Like people give more prana, more life force energy to politicians than they do their own families. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable. Like you can tell somebody's balanced when things like this happen on the world stage it doesn't affect them. If anything, they might chuckle a little bit at it because they see it for what it is. It's theater. It's all just at this point political theater. And they don't affect your life at all. Like I think we want to believe they do, but it's truthfully so limited, and you are so myopic if you believe that they have power. The real important thing though to discuss is the worship culture, and that's prominent with Trump. It's no longer working with Biden. Maybe it never really did. I've always been under this belief that the only reason people even liked him was because of Obama. I still believe that.
Bro,
And that's why
nobody.
this Big Mike thing makes sense to me too. Like if he was to be Tower 7 and fall and Big Mike came in, shout out to Michael. Um, yeah, then I wouldn't be surprised at all by that. I think that'd be a perfect and incredibly divisive election to have happen. And I'm going to share a quick thought with you, and I want to know your take. I think Kamala Harris becoming president is more fuel for a civil war than Donald Trump being assassinated.
Oh
Personally,
God,
personally.
I don't know. It's like I don't
But we're
know.
playing chess at that point, right? Like we're in the
Yeah.
big leagues because 99% of people probably
I
won't even imagine
genuinely
such an idea.
believe I genuinely believe like Kamala Harris is too shit of a player in the global scheme of things. Like in the history books in the grand scheme of everything. Like they don't want her to be the first black female president.
Sure.
No, I want
It's not
Michelle.
powerful enough.
I want Michelle. Bring out Michelle. Bring out
Yeah.
Michelle. I need the heavyweight fight. The
Yeah.
battle of the century. Please. This is the plot. I don't want Biden to die and then Kamala inaugural. No, no, no. Vacate the
But
office.
that would be the case though,
No, no,
right?
no.
Like
I don't I
unless
don't
she's like a straight up
I don't
non-player
care. I
character.
don't care. Let the military take over. Throw out the Constitution. I don't care.
Hmm.
Throw it all out. Big
Okay.
Mike, Donald Trump, 2024.
Well, it's like I
Now,
know what you want, bro, but like what do you think realistically? Like what do you think realistically? Because I do really much feel like I'm a little bit more concerned with that event, the if Biden goes down thing, which could very well be the case before the actual election. Do they do an early election?
oh, that'd be
And
fascinating.
be to pacify the fucking chaos. Bro, I really think if Kamala Harris became president just due to the way that the law system is set up, um, that would be wild. I think Americans, the most volatile Americans, would get real spicy then. Like
Mm.
the air will smell like fajitas are cooking. It will get weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just using my imagination because like I think the volatility is more like always in opposition to the thing that they think is the lesser good, right? So you know how many people would just be like, "Oh, what if Big Mike came in immediately?" There would be no, I don't think there'd be any problems. They would let that go all the way to the end. They would like we would be rubbing our hands together. Like we want to see that heavyweight fight. But if they put Kamala in because of the death of Biden, that I think would be too much, too much. And I think they would maybe put an early election in place just to like calm the people down. But that I think has more of a civil war essence than Trump being taken out.
Fascinating. It's interesting for sure.
Because one thing is finite. Like if Trump dies, he's dead, right? That's you can't do anything about that. But if Biden dies, everyone's expected that. People who voted for him, people who like him have expected that. Nobody expected, nobody expects the environment of what it would be with a Kamala situation. But I think also a lot of people expected there to be an assassination attempt on Trump. I don't think that's like some crazy prophecy. I think a lot of people knew that that was a capability.
Yeah. I can't argue with that one,
I
bro.
mean, look at the way he talks, bro. I deal with it, you deal with it. Like I've received death threats for things that I've said about stuff, and I'm a guy on YouTube talking about technical analysis and decoding. What the fuck? You must be so scared at this reality if you want to send someone like me a death threat. Especially look at what I talk about on my live streams. I'm talking about health, wellness, mindset, trying to get people, even when I talk about investing, I'm trying to talk about the words of wisdom that a lot of people don't want to discuss, the unsexy stuff. I'm not selling you on some pipe dream. So yeah, man. I mean, if I've dealt with the death threats, then that means, of course, somebody who's as polarizing as Trump is getting that at
I'm
an
surprised it hasn't happened sooner. Shit.
yeah.
But
I'm
what
surprised it
else?
hasn't happened sooner either.
But what I'll actually ask you before we wrap this one up, bro, have you
Mhm.
seen the dude that prophesized how Trump was gonna get shot?
I saw the clip at the beginning of your video because I was really interested to watch it. So I watched it through and I don't really know I didn't back test anything. I didn't like go back to the original video. I didn't look into it.
It was March
But
2024.
okay, so 3 months or so out. Do you know the one problem that I have with it all? And I don't want to be like I'm not anti-religion at all.
Sure.
I'm not an atheist and I'm not an agnostic. I'm not a nihilist. I don't pick sides. I'm a theologian, actually, more than I am a believer. So just to set the record straight, I decoded many parts of the Bible. I'm very fascinated in scripture and it always across all cultures. And I've seen so many parallels to the point that it's made me not be so convinced that one particular system being better than the rest. So I'm just going to lay that groundwork out there.
Sure.
Now, with that being said, when I hear people talking like this guy, I've heard translated versions of people who talk about this same thing with like Muhammad, and then they talk the same way about, so it's like this whole like Trump was weeping and
Oh,
like
dude,
Jesus
I get
Christ
it.
and all of this. It's just
I
like
know,
you can
I
tell
know,
he's
I know, I know. I
it's
get it.
really cool that maybe this specific statement about the getting shot in the ear thing and the bleeding and like that type, that's really fascinating because that seems to be exactly spot on the way that it went, excuse me. But like when it starts getting into this drama of like the Jesus and it's just like, come on, bro.
No, I completely agree, and I understand. That's fair. But that aside, the context of he did discuss exactly how the dude was gonna get shot.
Sure. Sure. Exactly. And I can't take that away from him. And I'm not
Which is
that's not my
which,
point. But what he
yeah,
was talking about in
yeah.
the future, like this Great Depression like type thing, like I just don't really see that now. I see that in like 2029 into 2030. I have a different time horizon.
I think specific
I don't think the powers that be want to like crash the market because of Trump winning. Like that type of theory
not
of this like white hats versus the bad guys thing, like it's also QAnon level that
yeah.
I
No,
just don't believe it. Sorry.
I agree. I feel you. But personally, I think in terms of like if I'm gonna hit you with some biblical shit, I do
Sure.
think I am a Christian, bro. I don't know if you knew that. I do believe we're in the book of Revelation because of a number of reasons. But to go along with that, if I'm just gonna do my own little analysis here, I think what you think could happen in like 28, 29, I think could come in 26. We're
Yeah, and
we're
that sounded like what
grasping
that guy thought.
we're grasping at straws. That's fine. It's like in the grand scheme of things, a year or two off isn't like as absurd or egregious in terms of TA or market analysis, anything like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, but at least my thing is based in something. Like, I think when you're just basing it on like a fucking dream you had, then it's like, what are we really
Well,
basing
that's
this?
fair.
Like, so I could give the audience what I'm basing this on, okay? It's the
Yeah,
2028 into 2029 Shemitah. Speaking of biblical prophecy, that's a
yeah.
concept that comes from the people who wrote the Bible, okay? The people
Mhm.
who wrote the Torah, the people who designed the system called Kabbalah. So this system is being practiced, and if we see the year before or the year after every single Shemitah that we've ever fucking had, there was a financial crisis and also an all-time high. So this is why I feel 2028 into 2029 and then that wrapping up is a more accurate timeline. Also, bro, Michael Burry would have been so much better in a posture that was so much more um idealistic and not as nerve-wracking and not as difficult for his investors to stomach through if he would have just known what I'm talking about right now.
No, that's fair. Like if he would have
He would have been
known
so
that.
much more on point and he wouldn't have
Yeah.
had to sit on this horrible premium that he had to deal with month by month as these contracts weren't, and he also knew that there was fraud going on in the ratings agencies, and I could go super deep into this. So for the people that are like gonna Michael Burry it and be like 2026, like, okay, but you just Michael buried it. And then you have to sit with this stomach of like wonder. But I actually have something to point to that has 100 fucking years proven in the charts to show you the effects that it's had. So I'm not just speaking out of my ass with this. And that's why I feel like it's too early. And the election's happening this year, as far as I remember, as far as I'm aware. Can we have a mid-cycle correction that's pretty deep in the year 2026? Or 2025, 100%. But are we going to start the Great Depression 2.0? I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time with that.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean,
I just
we
wanted
could.
to get your take on just that specifically because I just found it interesting because he also talked about XRP being the crypto that will play a major role in some sort of
I haven't watched that
resetting of the
video.
season. I put it in the end of my video, the one I made yesterday.
Mhm.
So just a little clip, but I thought that was fascinating as well. Guys, I just think it's interesting. I'm an eclectic research. I'm a conscious observer of a lot of things. I'll take in information without blindly believing anything, right? I think that's a very powerful skill you'll need to
Hell yeah.
know and harness, right? I think Waters, you do a great job of that as well, and it's just a good way to go about living, right? There's no emotion attached to what I say. I'm willing to have my mind changed. And these are all skills that can propel you forward in life, and that's what uh, I think I could speak for both of us. That's what we're both here to do is just to open up minds and try and figure this life shit out because this is it's a complicated world. It's
Yeah.
an insane reality. The lizards are coming. I'm patiently waiting for my CIA agent to come to my door to take me away. And I hope that I've garnered enough rapport with him through my iCloud memes that have made him laugh while he spied on me that at least in the New World Order I could have some type of like job and I'm not in the fucking gulags. That's all I want, dude. It's like I want Big Mike Trump and I want to live in the dystopian hellhole with like a job and not die. That's it.
Well, man, you'll get whatever it is that you envision, and it's important to have a vision. Like a lot of people right now, they're just consuming. Like they don't have any like
Yeah.
they have no idea of where they want to be, what they like. Like I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, how there's been something going on where you ask somebody like, "What music do you like?" And people have a hard time answering because they're so used to just going to Spotify and just pressing play on whatever's shown up. It's the
Why?
same thing.
Because they're not like us.
Shit. But
Uh,
like, you know, one thing to wrap up on that I think has a lot of utility for everyone is surround yourself by people that want to have discussions like this, like where you can share your truth and you don't have to agree with, I don't have to agree with yours, where I could share my truth and you don't have to agree with mine. And we could just bounce back and forth and be playful with it. Like we're not getting mad at each other and shit because we don't see eye to eye. And like ultimately, when you have something that I've never heard before, I say, oh, I've never heard that before and I want to learn more. You know, surround yourself by people who have that energy right now. Because what just happened a couple days ago I think might be the trigger of some serious shit that's about to start unfolding on the world stage. And you're going to find yourself getting caught in the trap of drama by people that don't have that essence. You know, they don't have that ability to communicate with curiosity, where they're very, very, you know, hard-headed. And those are not the people that are going to be the most fun to go through this transition with. So if you identify, you know, I'm not trying to tell you to get rid of your friends or shitty people or not high value people like you hear people in the red pill community talk about. None of that. Just are you surrounded by people that are willing to grow together? Like, are you surrounded by people that are where the relationship really has some value that's outside of just money or outside of just political agreeing on whatever sports team you both like? Like, look for being around those people because I think, not to speak for you, but I will. We both really value relationships. We think that's an extremely valuable currency to have people in your life that is priceless. You could have a billion XRP, but if you're fucking lonely and you have nobody to experience this feeling with of whatever is going on for you, then it's not going to matter how much money you have. So this is probably the most important time I think to surround yourself by quality individuals. And quality just means people that are willing to be vulnerable and also share where they're at on something and not get into this like violent disagreement if there's something that's not seeing eye to eye. Just slow down, be open to what they're sharing, and build. And I say this now because it's so important. We're seeing so much division, especially with religion, with people's you know, investment thesis, with what's going to happen next on the world stage. all of this stuff. It's really toxic and it's something to avoid, I think.
Oh man, I think Waters, to cap off this video for today, I think it's important everyone stay grounded. It's important everyone understands that the world is a stage. I think we've done a pretty decent job of exposing the very fact that the world is a stage, like whenever we collaborate, and you've done a great job at really calming the minds down. And I feel like the best way to end this video for today is to remind you that these young little kids talking about how the assassination attempt on Trump's life is affecting the meme coin market is the vibe of 2024. This is what we need to discuss. And if these 10-year-olds can do it on YouTube, why can't all of you at home? I have nothing else to say, bro. I think this is I think this is peak comedy. This is where the world needs to go.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, it's been amazing to reconnect with you. I'm glad that we both pressed record this time. In this case, if your computer shits out on you again, it'll all be good in the hood. At least I'll have mine saved somewhere.
Amen to
And
that, bro.
I appreciate every one that's joined in on this and appreciate you having me. And I'm looking forward to round two, bro. Like if something happens in August 15th, 16th, we
Ooh,
definitely need to make something. We definitely need to connect again.
dude, it's look, I'm excited. I don't know about it was getting boring. I was like, oh, ain't shit happen in 2024. This is getting like now I'm excited again. The memes are back. The internet is alive again. And that's all you could hope for. That's all you could pray for. Pray for peace, stopping war, and for the show to go on. Waters, love you to death, brother. Thank you so much for just everything you do for the community and for taking the time out yet again. Those of you at home, we appreciate every single one of you. We do this for you guys, and yeah, hope and pray for your success. The XRP chart looks fantastic. It is breaking out. It has gone above and back above that support level that we broke below. And that is an indication that we might be right at the doorstep of that 2017 move. All that being said, watch out for Bitcoin. Look at the world stage. Stay stoic and leveled throughout all of it. We appreciate every single one of you. Till next time, Waters, much love, brother.
Much love.